This video is sponsored by Shortboxed, the easiest and safest way to buy and sell graded comic books. Download the app today using the link in the description. Are modern comics a form of investment? This is a question that I get asked a lot. And to be honest with you, even for me, it's a little complicated because it's a little yes, it's a little no, and then it's also personal preference. With that said, we are going to dig into this topic over the course of this video, and I look forward to hearing what your thoughts are, so don't be shy about leaving those behind in the comments section. It's impossible for me to give a blanket answer to this question, and this is part of the reason why I think it's a little yes and a little no. The reality is that the modern era started in 1985 and runs all the way through the present day, literally to a book that was printed just a few days ago. So when you ask if comics that are modern are a form of investment, it's a little bit of a struggle because you're talking about a long period of time. And the reality is that there have been some amazing books that have been printed during this time. And there's also been a lot of stinkers as well. So we have to acknowledge that it's a long period of time and there's a lot that has occurred during that time. So you can't just make blanket statements to say yes or no. It depends. Are modern comics a form of investment? Yes. Absolutely they are. Personally, I prefer to save that designation for older modern comics, not necessarily one that was printed recently. Now, that isn't to say that you cannot make money on comics that are brand new. And by brand new, I'm talking about within this last year. It is absolutely possible to do it. With that said, I don't consider that an investment. I consider that speculation. And there is a difference between investment and speculation. The main difference between investment and speculation comes down to the amount of risk that is involved. When you look at investments, typically they have average to below average amounts of risk associated with them. Speculation, on the other hand, has a much higher risk profile. But the benefits of assuming that risk is that you have the potential to have a huge upside as well. The downside, of course, is that you could potentially lose everything. So when it comes down to investment versus speculation, it's all about the risk. In my mind, if you buy a comic for cover price and you hope to sell that book for $50, $60 or more dollars, that is speculation. Likewise, if you buy a comic for $50, $60, $100, and you're hoping to sell it for hundreds or thousands in a relatively short period of time, that too is also speculation. Now, with that said, there is nothing wrong with speculation. In my mind, there's nothing wrong with it. The hobby needs all types of people involved in it, from readers to collectors to investors to speculators. So I don't necessarily see anything wrong with it, but it's important to draw a line between what is investment and what is speculation because they are very different. So the next logical question, of course, is what is an investment? In my mind, it comes down to books that are older. And it doesn't matter whether you're talking about older modern comics or older Silver Age comics. It certainly includes Golden Age, but that's not necessarily my wheelhouse, so I draw the line at the Silver Age. But what's great about these older books is that they have a track record. And I'm not necessarily saying a track record of high performance, but they have a track record that can be considered that spans some time. You know how this book has performed. It has some data, and that data can be referenced and understood. Now, there are some books that have not performed well over time, but that does not mean that they might not have some potential in the future. There are other books that have started out high and have maintained that over time, but I like having a track record to look at. The second criteria that I look for is a fan base, a dedicated fan base that cares about that title and or those characters. And I'm specifically talking about dedicated fans like Spawn fans, hardcore fans, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Wolverine, Spider-Man, even Miles Morales has a dedicated fan base that has grown over the last 10 plus years. So a big thing for me is, are there people that are interested in this character or these characters? If so, this is a title, this is a book that could have some longevity because there are people that actually care what happens. There are people that are going to want that title, that are going to want that book. To me, again, this is an important criteria if you're going to spend some big money on a comic. The third criteria that I look for is an investment by the publisher. When you think about it, we have seen a ton of new characters be created that are suddenly hot and then suddenly cool off. Part of the reason for that is that it doesn't cost a publisher anything to allow a creator to introduce a new character. Oftentimes they allow the creators to create these characters because they've been pitched a story or a series of stories that will sell books. And what comes along with that is the creator is given an opportunity to introduce a new character, which is great. But it doesn't necessarily mean that that publisher is committed to that character. Now, what does commitment look like? Commitment looks like a solo title for that character where they are now spending some real money on that character versus having that character be introduced as part of another character's book. Second, is there some merchandising? Are they creating toys? Are they creating video games? Are they creating placemats and all that, pajamas, all that stuff that comes along with a true investment into that character? Are they introducing this character into a movie or a TV show or a cartoon? Are they doing anything with McDonald's? Are there any partnership deals featuring this character? This is a sign in my mind that that publisher is invested in the longevity of that character. They are spending money to put this character out there because they believe in them. Again, we can probably count on our fingers and toes the number of characters that have been introduced over the last 2 years that have come and gone. But if you think about the 3 criteria that I've just ticked off, you can probably understand why those characters really had no chance of survival. Now, this isn't to say that things can't change in the future, because they always can. Miles Morales, for example, is a character that sat on a shelf for a long period of time before Marvel really started to invest into this character. And now you see Miles Morales in a lot of places. He has movies. He has endorsements, if you will. He's on pajamas. They're doing things with him with Scholastics. This is a character that Marvel has created and they are investing heavily into. And this is why I say that Miles Morales is a character that is going to be around for a while. And again, there are other characters out there that have come out, that have maybe died off, that may be revived over the next 10 years or so. We really don't know. But this is also why you have to consider what makes sense, when it makes sense. So are modern comics a form of investment? Yes and no. If you've enjoyed this video, I want to encourage you to leave your thoughts behind in the comment section. And if you need to reach out to me, feel free to do so on Instagram at Regie Collects. Take care.